What's up, guys? Eli here, back for another DVD collection video. I have like a decent amount of new subs, so I guess if you've never tuned in on any of my DVD videos, what I do, pretty similar to what I do with my CD collection video, which you might be new to those as well. I just take 10 out of my collection, loosely alphabetized, because I'm terrible at organizing things, but yeah, I just pretty much pull them off the shelf, show them. They're not reviews or anything like that. I might talk about them for a minute at most, but yeah, here we go. Starting with Horror of Dracula from 1958. This is actually known to be the first time Christopher Lee played Dracula. He would play him for a good amount of time. In his opinion, actually too long. He was near the end. He was completely sick of the role, and he was scrambling to do anything he possibly could. To get roles that weren't Dracula. So this is considered a fan favorite by many. I'll be honest, I'm fairly newish to Hammer horror and any horror, before the mid '70s, to be honest. So yeah, I'm still kind of absorbing the Hammer stuff, and it's been fun. Then I have the Satanic Rites of Dracula from 1973. This was actually the first Hammer Dracula movie I'd ever seen, so I guess you could say I'm kind of partial to it, but it's not my favorite. I'm still working my way through the Hammer series, but yeah, again, I've always been a Dracula fan, regardless of what actor is playing. I'm just a fan of the character. I'm a fan of the lore. All the movies, the books, yeah, big Dracula fan. This one's probably so far my favorite, although I haven't seen them all. But yeah, this is probably my favorite so far. We got Taste the Blood of Dracula from 1970. Really, really like this one. Why is it my favorite? I'm not really sure I can articulate that at this time, but yeah, probably my favorite so far. Then I also have the fairly ridiculous Dracula AD 1972. Came out in 1972. This is a weird one. This is a Dracula movie set in at the time, modern times. This is a Dracula movie. This is what you would expect, I guess, Dracula set in the 70s. It's hokey, but honestly, I don't know. I enjoyed this one. I know opinions are kind of divided on this one from what I've read, but so I expected it to be a mess, but I actually quite enjoyed it. And that's all the Dracula movies I have. So next I have from 2009, we got Drag Me to Hell. I've always been a big Sam Raimi fan. Ever since I saw Evil Dead, I was just hooked, and I had to see everything the guy had done. So I was actually able to, I picked this up as it came out. I may have seen this in the theater. I can't remember for sure, but this is a good movie. It's not Sam Raimi's best work, but it is. This movie is full of full of Raimi, Raimi's signature style, and it's a fun movie. I watched this quite a bit when it came out, so I need to rewatch it because it's been a good while. Next, I have Dune from 1984, the original Dune movie done by David Lynch. I've seen this a couple times. I know this movie has a definite reputation, mostly for being awful. But I know this movie also has its fans. I'm actually kind of in between, but I'm leaning more towards the fan side. Like, I actually do enjoy this movie. Sure, it's not maybe all that it could have been, but it's still really, really enjoyable for what it is. No, I haven't seen the new Dune movie, but I really, really want to. I'm kind of a pedestrian type fan when it comes to the Dune series. I have some of the books that I've never yet read, but I definitely am a sci-fi fan, and I am definitely drawn to the lore of the Dune series. And I also have from 2000 the Dune TV series. William Hurt. I like William Hurt. So I've had this for a good amount of time, probably at least 6 or 7 years, and I've yet to see it. I've always heard really good things. I've heard most Dune fans I've heard preferred this to the Lynch film. I haven't got around to watching it. It's a nice set. I'm sure it's a lot more in depth than the Lynch movie, being this is a series, and this does clock in at 295 minutes. So that is, that's over 4 hours, 4.5 hours, something like that. So, yeah, I'll have to give it a shot soon. And my last Dune-related thing is this 2013 documentary, and I just absolutely love this movie, Jodorowsky's Dune. If you don't know much about this, or you don't know much about Alejandro Jodorowsky, he is a Chilean film director. He's been making movies since the early 70s, maybe even the late 60s, if I remember correctly. I'd never heard of the man until maybe 10 years ago or so, and then I kind of dove into his work. I now have almost all his movies, and I absolutely worship the man. He's just such a visionary. Definitely look into his films, Santa Sangra, Holy Mountain, and El Topo. My personal favorite being Holy Mountain. Wow, what a movie. I probably only picked the movie up maybe 5 years ago, and it is quickly climbing its way up into probably my top 5 or 10 all-time favorite movies. Absolutely love it. I cannot recommend it enough. If you're an open-minded, fan of cinema, definitely watch that, because if you aren't, you're doing yourself a huge, massive disservice. For me, it was like a monumentally life-changing movie. I'm not even exaggerating. But what this is a documentary about the story of Alejandro Jodorowsky having a project in the 70s where he was making a Dune movie. A Dune movie had never been made. He decided it was something he wanted to do. He got the right people on board. It was funded. But it was also a disaster. Long story short, the movie never got made. It was just he's way too stubborn of a director. He wasn't really willing to compromise, which you got to love him for that. The project, was going way, way, way out of budget, and ultimately the people backing the film had to pull the plug. But definitely watch this. It leaves you satisfied because it's a great documentary, but it leaves you almost mourning the idea that, almost mourning the movie that was never made. And I'm always left with the thought that, that could have been a fucking mind-blowing movie. But there are detractors. You really can't say either way, but there are detractors to say, like, dude, personally, I think it would have been a total fucking mess, because he was trying to make it, like, 8 or 10 hours long, and it would have been probably just weird as hell. I don't know. Personally, I'm not choosing to look at it negatively. I'm choosing to look at it like, this was a movie that should have been made, and we needed to see it to believe it. I don't understand how you could look at it any differently, but if you're a Dune fan, and you don't even have to be a Dune fan. I'm like I said, I'm a pedestrian Dune fan at best, and this is for me. This is essential watching. Go get this any way you can. It's absolutely phenomenal. And from 2008, we have a movie I've talked about here before. We have Dying Breed. Dying Breed is an Australian movie. You might remember this series, the After Dark Horror Fest series, from around that time. There were definitely some gems in the series, but a lot of it was really hit and miss. And this movie's hit and miss also. It is a little bit on the extreme side. It does have some really gory moments, fairly violent, but overall not a real great movie. It kind of focuses on, which is in a way is kind of cool, focuses on this Australian serial killer from back in like the 1800s. They use him in this movie, even though it's set in modern times. They basically made him as a modern character. His name was Alexander Pierce, and he went by the Pie Man because he would actually use human flesh to make like meat pies and stuff. He was an Australian or an Irish convict, and he was sent over to the penal colony in Australia. and he like escaped multiple times and just completely fucked shit up. But yeah, Dying Breed, worth a watch, I guess. It's not great. And last but not least, probably my favorite movie on on this out of this whole stack. This came out in 2007. We're talking about Eastern Promises. Now, you might be wondering why I have this in my horror slash sci-fi collection. I'm not really sure. Maybe because this is a fairly violent movie, but I think mostly probably because it was directed by David Cronenberg. This came out after Cronenberg did A History of Violence, which was another non-horror movie, and also very good, and also with Viggo Mortensen, who is in this. So this movie is basically about the Russian mafia. Viggo Mortensen is actually infiltrating the Russian mafia to get to the top, basically to investigate a murder. Really, really good movie. I mean, this is well acted, it's well written, well directed. It's very brutal. It's very graphic in many ways, and Viggo Mortensen is just awesome in this. Probably my favorite Viggo Mortensen performance. The man's a good actor, no doubt, but I think this is where he really, really shines. So definitely check out this if you haven't, especially if you're into mob movies. This is not a typical mob movie, but it's just fantastic. And that's all I got. 10 movies. Anyways, yeah, as usual, thanks for stopping by, and we will talk soon. Cheers. Louis says hello.